Okay, friends, so here's how we use the cameras. The cameras in video class. That's the area the cameras will be situated. These right here are not cameras to use. These are for charging purposes only. So if you check your camera, if it doesn't have a battery, the first place to look is actually not the charging station. It's over here in this corner. These batteries should be charged. Put the battery on your camera, turn it on, see if it's actually charged. That's going to be a common theme, checking before you go out to film. When you do end up going out to film, you still have to obey the rules. Sometimes people get it in their mind that they can just do whatever because we can film, we can do whatever. Not true. You have to obey the rules, maybe even more so. If you don't feel like obeying the rules when you leave the classroom, I guess you could just film everything in here. You got to sign out to where you're going to be using that computer. I will also put a link to that document, or form I should say, on Infinite Campus. So if you want to update where you're going, say you sign out from here, you're going to the front entrance of the school, but now you're going to go someplace different, please update it on the form. Not by coming all the way back here, but as I said, hopefully I can get that, or I will put it onto your Infinite Campus. Does anybody know what these things are called? Tripods. That's right, tripods. These are a bit different. This one, it has a circle on the bottom of it. Circle, it goes in, clip, lock. Make sure it's locked on there. That's true for all of them. This one is hot glued on. So if you're using camera 5, it's hot glued on there. Please do not take it off. Just please leave it on here. Same is true. When you come back from filming and you're going to upload your footage, which I'll show you in a few minutes, just leave them on the tripods. Collapse the tripods down. They're this small. Bring them there. When you're done, put everything back. So this is another type of tripod. I know you guys can't see it really well, but the camera can see it, so you can look it up later. A little bit more of an elaborate locking system. You can look at the bottom of it. The lens always wants to go forward. You always want to have, undo the lock. What do you mean by the lens always goes forward? Lock it in. It's locked. This is the, what do you call this? Handle. That's going to face the opposite way of the lens. Because when you do camera movements, you want to be behind the lens. The viewfinder, you'll be able to see what's going on here. Move it, pan it left, right, tilt up, down, yada, yada, yada. Place the battery onto my camera, and I'm going to test it by turning it on. So many times people will go out to film, and they have to come back because they don't have something. As long as you test it before you leave the room, you're all set. And I can look at the screen here, and it looks similar to what you see on the screen up there. So you turn on the camera, you see this screen. Filter 1 should be on. If it looks different, it's probably because the filter is different. It's Cinema Standard Filter 1. There's all sorts of crazy stuff that can be a part of what you're doing, but visually you want to keep it the same. We can also, when we get to Final Cut Pro, as you guys know a little bit with Crepe Lady, you can do effects and you can save some stuff, but it's easier just to get it right the first time. So with Filter 1, it will be right the first time. If you notice anything off, see me about it, because it can be pretty complex. Again, this is the same as that. Home will bring up a bunch of options. I'll show you in a minute. This will bring up even more options. And in this particular model, there's an eye thing. That'll tell you how much time you have left on the recording. The most important, though, battery life, 122 minutes. That's good. This is just if you're moving around, and that's if you're recording or not. So on the interface here, you can see if I click filter 1, there's a bunch of different filters. Just make sure it's on one, and it won't get messed up. Here you have some options to change some stuff, but you really don't need to worry about that whatsoever. Bottom right, I can change all sorts of things. White balance, see that? The color changed. Color changed. And you can set like a custom. Auto, to me, it usually works the best because when you do auto, it puts it in a place where, is it absolutely perfect? It might not be absolutely perfect, but at the very least, it will be manageable for Final Cut. Like if you need to fix some stuff, as long as it's within a range. Anything that's dramatically off is going to be difficult to fix. Exposure is probably the most badly done thing by students. Can you see any details of the people's faces? That's because of the exposure problem. When you frame a shot, you want your light source, which in this case is the sun, to come from behind you. So like if I have the camera like this, the actual camera, and my light source is coming from behind me, the people in front of me are going to be, or the subjects in front of me are going to be well lit. Now, if I turn my back to it, you're going to get what you have here, where people look like silhouettes. You cannot tell any definition of anyone's face. You get 90% of your information from people's facial expressions. What do I mean? Am I happy or sad? Sad. Am I happy or sad?
You're ecstatic. I'm sad.
That's why we do exposure. You can do focus stuff as well. We're going to go to focus, and there's our focus. As I said, autofocus is not always perfect, but at the very least, it will get you to the point where you will have at least something to work with. If you're filming something, does anyone know what these lines are?
Boxes.
They're not lines. Justin, why did you move? Yeah, thank you. Okay, so these are the rule of thirds. If you're filming me having a conversation with myself, I'm on the left, or right now I'm on the what? You're right. So I'm on the right side. I want to be right here. I do not want to be in the center of the shot. Center of the shot is weird. I want to be right here. You can see I'm at this crossroads right here, and I could be looking this way. I want to see both my eyes, and I'm talking this way. Then, even if it were the same shot, I could have somebody here. But normally it would be, you're cutting away from one shot to another, and you're having a line of dialogue. The other person's going to be on this side of the rule of thirds. So, because if it would be weird, if you look at it, say you're watching Avengers and Captain Marvel and the Incredible Hulk were talking to each other, and they were both facing to the right, that would look very strange. It wouldn't look natural. So it's about like setting it up so that it does look natural. It will feel very unnatural for us as we're making it, but it looks more natural on the screen. And another piece of that is the line, which is a 180-degree line. But we'll get to that later. Any questions about the basics of cameras, the cameras we're going to be using, or anything like that? No? No questions? Any ice rattling? Group Cooper, you look like you got a question. No. You always use a tripod. Why do you always use, and you don't zoom. Move the camera. Have the camera be stationary, because if you move, this is what it will look like if you don't use the tripod and you move. Does anyone like watching that? I mean, it makes you motion sick. If you want to add that earthquake effect, like 16,000 V-Bucks, you can do that after the fact and you'll have more control over it. So essentially, you're going for the most neutral of capturing of the footage, because after the fact, in Final Cut, you can do all sorts of crazy stuff. But if you mess it up, or if the original footage is not good in the first place, it's going to be a whole lot more difficult to pull off that type of magic. Questions? Anyone? The camera doesn't like it. So everyone knows how to use these cameras?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Feel free to ask. No? Low angle? High angle? What were you just going to say?
Facebook mom.
Wait, was the Facebook mom a low angle or a high angle?
High angle. Yeah.
With my littles.
Yeah, so true. Stop.
Oh, my wife says that all the time. Any other questions?
When are we gonna start filming?
One thing I forgot. No, stop. Oh, hi. Oh, hi, didn't see you there. One thing I forgot, friends. Importing the footage when you get back. This particular this particular camera, 1 and 2, and one other, I forget what it is, they use an SD card. So that's another thing when you go out to film. If you find that it's saying no SD card, let me know. You can check the back of the computers. That's more likely where they are. This is the SD card, and it goes right in here, and you record to it. And then when you come back, you take the SD card out. You place the SD card in the back of the computer. There's a slot for it. You open up Final Cut Pro, and it will automatically import the stuff for you. You have to wait until they're completely imported, though. If you have a camera that does not have an SD card, it has a built-in memory, that's what these colorful cords are for. You take a cord, you plug it into the side of the camera. I keep calling the cameras computers. Where it says USB, you plug the USB end, the normal USB end, into the back of the computer. Open up Final Cut Pro. Then you hit the clip review button. It's a play button on the side of the camera. If Final Cut Pro is open and you press that button on the side of the camera, and it's not an SD card camera, it will show all the footage on that camera. When you are done, you hit that clip review button again, and then if there are any scenes, you hit edit, delete scenes, deleting all the footage from your camera. But that's why it's important that when you import it, when you import the footage, that it all imports. Final Cut Pro does some stuff in the background, so you don't want to be in the situation which inevitably people get into, where you've recorded stuff, you upload it, or at least you think you did, you delete the footage because that's just part of our process, and then you go to look at it and it's gone. So don't do anything else except watch the footage upload. You'll have a little notification at the top right of Final Cut Pro that will say the import is complete, and then you're good. So that's the last step.